Oop. I thought I was supposed to have an intro there, and it didn't show up, and I know why it didn't show up. It's because I had moved everything around, and OBS, the root file. Anyways, the root file has been changed. And so I have to relink everything, and that's why, and I forgot to do that before going live. So that's why there's no intro. Anyway, here we are, just jumping right into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, 2:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope everybody is doing well, and yeah, I'll make sure to get back to music and intros and everything once I'm able to relink everything up. Yeah, well, hey, it's a lazy Saturday, so what the hell, right? Hope everybody is doing well. It's Christmas weekend. I hope you're all hanging out with family this weekend and, having fun and getting ready for Santa Claus and, watching movies. And if you have kids, I don't have kids, but if you have kids, it must be really exciting, to live vicariously through your children's experiences with Santa and getting all excited, and it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. And when I was a kid, my dad used to take us on what he called the Santa Claus watch, and he did it with all of us. And there's quite an age gap between myself and, the oldest, right? The oldest sibling, my sister, is 15 years older than me. So, my dad began doing the Santa Claus watch, in the 60s. And when my sister was born, all the way up until my half-sister was born in the late 80s and into the early 90s. So he probably did it for like 30-something years. And every Christmas Eve, he would take us out, and we would, my mother would bake us cookies, and he'd have we'd have hot chocolate in a thermos, and we'd go out somewhere, into the country if we lived in, when I was a kid, we lived in a small town, so we would just kind of go to the outskirts, and we'd get up to like a high kind of peak, on like a hill or something like that, and we would sit out there and we'd look up to the, up to the sky and up to the stars. And my dad was such a great storyteller, obviously, with what he did for a living, but he was very theatrical like me, and he could improv off the cuff and make up make up all sorts of I was going to say two things at once there. Make up all sorts of I don't want to say I guess he just had that ability to create a sense of magic on the fly, especially to little kids. And I was going to say make up stories, but I don't know if that's exactly well, I guess it is kind of like that. I guess it is. But anyways, it was called the Santa Claus watch. And of course, you're looking up to the sky, and if you're 5 years old, you think anything with a blinking red light could be Rudolph, right? And my dad was able to really kind of paint that picture. Like, I think that's him, and it was cool. I mean, and he did it with all of us. And like I said, not all of us at the same time. Well, certainly not me, because I was born so much later. But that's a memory that if I had children of my own, which I don't, but if I did, that's definitely something I would do with them. Every Christmas Eve, going on the Santa, and it's so exciting. I mean, we were so excited, and it's just compounded. It just helps when, there's those radio stations and TV stations that get into it too, right? Santa Claus was spotted over Spain, and he's on his way to North America, as far as we know. Like, they play it like Shakespeare. These radio stations and TV stations would play it like it's serious, and good for them. Good for them and I think they probably still do that. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't have cable, and I don't really listen to the radio. So I'm not sure if they do that, but they certainly did that years ago, and they played it like Shakespeare, like it was dead serious, and you'd listen to the news report, and they'd come on, like, it sounded like they would just play it like it was any other news story. You know, it's like, well, hi everybody, such and such here. Yes, so we're tracking Santa Claus's sleigh, and it appears to be over. And it's just like, you know, you listen to it, and there's no wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, it's no like, oh, well, yeah, we're tracking Santa's sleigh. There was none of that. It was dead serious, you know. And as a kid, you know, you're like, oh, fuck, you know, it's real. Holy shit, it's really real, you know. And that was always so much fun. And so that, you know, in addition to going on the Santa Claus watch and then, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was so much fun. And my dad really created a sense of magic. I think he did this before I was born, because I don't recall him doing this. And my parents divorced when I was very young. I was about 4 when they split. So I really have no memory of my parents actually being together in a relationship. They remained close, you know, for years after, because they had 4 kids. So I did see my parents together in the same room and all that kind of stuff, and they always got along. But I think more in the 70s. I was born in 79. So I think before I was born, my dad would do this. But apparently he would go out onto the roof of our house with skis, and he would make tracks which would look like sleigh tracks. And he would bring my brothers and my sister out like, oh, you could see it. He was here. You know, my dad was really great with that kind of stuff, creating a real sense of magic and wonder and awe and all that, you know. And that's what you want to do, you know, if you have kids, right? You really want, I mean, look, I'm talking about something that I don't even think he did for me. You know, but you really want to give your children really something, like really create that special magic, you know, really, really special. I was so smart though. So, you know, obviously we would leave like cookies and a glass of milk out for Santa Claus, and some carrots for Rudolph. And I remember, I don't know how old I was, but my sister remembers this. I guess they had, when they were setting out the presents in the morning, I guess they had forgotten to dump the milk or drink the milk or whatever, right? So what my sister did before I got up, was she quickly, I think she just dumped the milk, and she forgot to put the glass that had the milk residue back on the coffee table or wherever we left the milk and cookies. And so she just got the exact same glass from the cupboard and put it out. And I was smart, man. I don't know how old I was, maybe 5, 6, I don't know. But I was smart, because when I went into I kind of remember this, like, because I was so young, but my sister tells it, and she was like, holy shit, that kid's smart. I remember walking into the living room and looking at the glass and picking it up and being like, no, this is not the same glass. And my sister's like, what are you talking about? The milk's gone. He drank it. And even at that young age, I was like, well, yeah, but if he actually drank from this glass, there would be milk residue in the bottom. Like there'd be a little bit of milk, you know, a tiny little kind of, you know, thing. And this is like a dry glass that just came out of the dishwasher or something. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't think I said it like that, but that's what I was saying in my 5-year-old way. And my sister was like, fuck, I didn't even think of that. He's right. And he's right. If you had drank it and put it back down, there would be a little bit of milk in the bottom, right? A very slight kind of, ring or, or something, right? I was right. Now, I don't know how my sister ended up sort of saving that moment and making me go, okay. I'm not entirely sure. But she tells that story. I was probably a pain in the ass, but I was very smart that way, but there's so much magic around Christmas for children. And, obviously that goes away once the age comes where they have to find out that Santa's not real, or maybe you're one of those parents that just doesn't tell your kids about Santa at all. And they know he's not real from the beginning, who knows? But, they're definitely, I don't know what parents do today or what's acceptable today, but you know, years ago, there definitely was a lot of magic there, and there was a special magic around, especially this week. Like there are kids right now in this world, maybe they're your children, that are so fucking excited right now. It's unbelievable. And tomorrow night, Christmas Eve, like I remember those nights. You remember those nights lying in bed with like, you couldn't sleep. You had to go to bed. You'd keep waking up, you know, and I don't know how my parents did it, but you know, because my room was not too far away from the living room, and I don't know how they did it, but I didn't hear fuck all. They were so good, you know, and what ended up probably happening is that I was just so excited that I just ended up going, like I just, you know what I mean? Like I just was so tired that I just, you know, conked out. But there was a lot of magic around that, a lot of magic. You get up in the morning and you walk in and, oh my God, there's all these presents. It's like magic because, you know, 12 hours earlier, there was nothing there. And then, you know, there were some gifts under the tree, of course, but there was nothing there. And then you walk into the living room and, oh my God, there's all these things and holy shit, Santa came. And yeah, I will say that we did have very good Christmases. You know, that is one thing that that my dad was always very good with, despite the fact that my parents divorced in 1984. Even my mother said for years later that your father was always extremely good and generous to her and to the family, and you know, and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, we had good Christmases. You know, I didn't get everything I wanted, obviously. You know, it's not like we were multi-millionaires, but you know, we had a good family Christmas. It was always very good and always very magical. And not everybody is in that position, and I understand that. There are families out there as well that are not in those positions, and people who are alone, and you know, and I get that too. But I just want to say that for children especially, it's such a magical time of year. It's so magical, you know. It's so, like, I remember just there was a feeling and a mood and an atmosphere, right, to these next couple of days here, especially for kids, especially. So anyways, if you have kids, then yeah, make sure that it's magical for them, because it's something it's something you remember for years. It's something they're going to remember for years and years and years. And maybe do your own Santa Claus watch if you don't already. I mean, yeah, you know it's not real. You got to stare up at the, you know, up at the blinking lights. No, but it's not for you. It's for them, you know, and you create a real amazing memory, you know, really cool. I remember years ago as well, if you hear my cat, she's meowing. Hi, Beta. Yeah, I know. I remember about 20 something years ago, my sister Jill asked me to play Santa Claus at her work Christmas party, but it was the children, it was the Christmas party for the people at the work. It was for their kids, right? So there was like an adult one, which probably happened like a week later or something. And then there was like a kids one. And so she asked me to play Santa. I was like 22, 23. 22, yeah. And so she asked me to play Santa at the Christmas party. I was like, yeah, sure. You know, because I remember years and years before that, like 20 years before that, my sister would take me to that same kids' work Christmas party, and I would go up and sit on Santa's knee. So now I'm playing Santa, which is really cool. And I remember this was, I don't know how I did this. I don't know if it was intuition or what, or just sheer luck. But I remember I'm in the full, and I love when Santas really look like Santa Clauses, right? You know, a lot of mall Santas can be hit and miss. And, you know, and then there's the Santa Clauses that you hire a guy who's got an authentic white beard. Like, he's already got a big white, he looks like Santa Claus just if you would see him out in the daytime in the summertime. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you see Santas like that where you're like, oh, that's such a great Santa. Like, he really looks like Santa. It's not that fake beard or anything. It's so does he ever look like Santa? And then you get the Santa Clauses where it's like, you know, and clearly I was 22 years old. So I obviously, you know, from here, I look like a young guy, right? So it was really important. And my sister was very, you know, she takes this very seriously, as do I, that we can't just get a shitty Santa outfit. We got to get the real, you know what I mean? And we did, like the full on, the sash and the thing, and I just, you know, and I just looked like Saint Nick in a Hollywood movie or something, you know what I mean? Like the Santa Claus or something, you know? And even though I was 22 or 3. And so I remember I was there, and I was, you know, you know, the whole thing, right? And I'm talking to everybody who sits down, and, you know, hello, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And there was this kid that was skeptical, and I know he was skeptical. You know, he's giving me that eye, like, I don't know if you're the fucking real Santa. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it was intuition or what, but I turned to him and I said, well, I'm paraphrasing this, but I said something like, well, I could tell he was kind of like, I don't know. And I said, so how are your dogs? You know, now, again, chances are a family has dog, right? Either has a dog or a cat, right? So that's not you know, I'm playing it almost like cold reading, like those, you know, fake psychics or whatever, right? You know, you kind of attack a general thing that most people would have. And he goes, fine. And I said, you have 2 dogs, right? And he did. Now that's what was wild. Not everybody, there's a lot of people that chances are there's a very good chance that somebody's going to have a dog, right? But 2 dogs, there are plenty of people that have 2 dogs, but there are more people that have 1 dog than probably have 2 dogs. And so I don't know what it was. Just this instinct came over me to say, you have 2, or no, maybe I said, how are your 2 dogs or something like that. And he just was, he was like, wow, the fuck did he know I have 2 dogs? You know, and obviously I didn't go as far as to say their names because I didn't know, but that was enough to make him be like, oh, they're fine, you know, and I don't know what it was. It was just intuition. I just thought, his kid's got 2 dogs. I don't know. It was crazy. Anyway, that kind of put him in I'm sheer luck. But, cause if I had missed that, I would have been out of I probably would have had tomatoes thrown at me, but it worked. It was just something came over me that told me to ask this kid about his 2 dogs and it worked. But anyway, I remember that, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's such a magic around this time of year, especially for kids. You know, it's so cool. All right, let's jump over to the chat room and see what you all are saying. Let's see. I'll get these super chats that came in. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh, and says, Merry Black Christmas, Dave. Merry Black Christmas to you as well. I was able to see Thanksgiving this week. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to Lynn Griffin. It gets me all more excited for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Yeah, Lynn was in that. Yeah, I still haven't seen it. I have to see it. She posted a photo today on Facebook of her in the movie. And yeah, it's a small role, I think. Is it at the beginning or it's during the dinner scene, I think. Yeah, she's in that, and she's in It's Me Billy too as well. Lamontra Gillard, is that how you say that? Am I butchering? I don't have my glasses. Merry Christmas, Dave, and Happy New Year. Same to you as well. Antonis Andriotis, hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm doing all right. How are you? Good to see other people here. RJ Skorenki? Is that how you say that? Skorenki? My apologies if I'm butchering it. Merry Christmas. Good luck with It's Me Billy 2. Thank you very much. Chapter 2, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well. Mark Jones, hey Chester, talking to Chester. Hey Chester, how you doing? Davey Deathray's here. Hello and Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Merry Christmas Eve to you as well, Davey. Great to see people here. CM, Chris, one of our executive producers on Chapter 2. Merry early Christmas, Dave and chat. Merry early Christmas to you as well. Lee the Machine Bowers is here. Great to see you, Lee. And then super chat from Daniel Hyrell sends in $4.99. Says, Dave, I read some of the comments on your videos last night. There's a lot of loose cannons out there, bro. People have too much time. God bless. On my videos last night? You mean just in general? Like you just were going through a lot of my old videos and you were reading some comments? What videos are you specifically talking about? Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of loose cannons out there. There's a lot of people out there that, what I find really fun, really at the end of the day is people who profess they can't stand me or they don't like me, but yet they continue to watch me. It's classic. There's a sociological term for this, and I can't remember it, but it's funny. Like if I actually don't like somebody, right? I literally can't stand them. I don't watch them. I don't watch people I don't like. But then I'm trying to think of, is there somebody online that I really don't like? And the answer is no. Maybe that's because I don't tune into a lot of different people, but I can't think of anybody online that, like a host or a personality that I don't like. But oh yeah, all those people that take to Reddit, I can't stand Dave McCrae. Then I post a video, let's see what Dave McCrae's saying. I win. It is what it is. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people out there that, like to yibber and yabber and I assume that's what you're talking about. I haven't noticed any negative comments on my most recent stuff, like I posted over the last couple of days, but unless you're talking about something else, clue me in if you are. Chase Jackson sends in $4.99. Thanks, Chase. Says, hey Dave, any exciting plans for Christmas or New Year's? No, actually, just sort of run of the mill this year. Nothing too crazy. You know, the older you get, the less you do, I think, on Christmas. And again, I don't have any children, and so and my family is we're not a close family. We're not, like, we don't have any animosity with each other or anything, but we're not a close family in the sense that, first of all, we are actually geographically very far apart from each other. And when I say close family, I don't mean that we don't love each other or anything like that. I just mean that we've never been really sort of travel, and we have, don't get me wrong, we have done this. But you know how there's some families that are just so, do you know what I mean? Like they're just so close and so tight knit. Our family never has been like that, but we don't need to be like that. Like we're totally cool with wishing each other a Merry Christmas in the morning via a phone call or a Zoom call or a text or something. Hey, how's it going? You know, and maybe we chat over Zoom for an hour, and that's fine. And that's totally cool. That it probably has something to do with how we grew up, of course, right? You know, obviously, you know, when I was 4 years old, our family split. And so there's some of that. And so I'm not really we're not that kind of a family where it's like the big celebrations and the flying in from around the world and, you know, hey, everybody, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And it's just, you know, and with my parents gone now too, right? You have to remember that too. My parents died 12 years ago. And so, you know, do you know what I mean? Like we don't hate each other or anything like that. It's just, we've never been a close family, in that regard. I think maybe early on when my parents were together, like, you know, through the 60s and the 70s and maybe the first few years there when I was born. But after that, it, you know, sort of was a fractured kind of situation. So, and again, I don't have a family of my own, right? Or like, you know, I mean, you know, kids and all that kind of stuff. So, no, just kind of chilling, you know, doing whatever, kind of just another year, another day, you know what I mean? But I think it's great for those who have, real big families that can get together and you know, share in that. I think that's really important, because yeah, I think that's really important to be able to do that, especially if your parents are still together and there's still a real love there and things like that. I think that's really, really important. All right, did I get all the super chats? Oh, no, wait, Davey sent in one. Hang on. Davey Deathray sends in a super chat, $5. Thank you, Davey. Says, love hearing the stories about your dad, Dave. It's so special to have those good memories, and it's clear that he passed his vigor and spirit on to you. Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, my father was, you know, I have a lot of my father's really positive traits, and of course I have my father's probably annoying traits. Like, it is not a surprise to me. Let's just put it this way. It is not a surprise to me at all. That there are many people that watch me that can't stand me, because there were many people that watched my father and read my father that couldn't stand my father either. We know what we're doing. We know how to get under people's skin. We know what we're doing, and my dad knew what he was doing. He knows how to stir the pot, and when I, what was it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess about 6 years ago now, when I made the decision to, well, I was pushed, but when I did make the decision to go ahead and really start putting myself out there on YouTube, and I had to be my authentic self, right? I have strong opinions, right? And I have strong thoughts on things, and as we all can and do, and but I knew doing this, that not everybody, there were going to be people that were going to like me and people that don't like you. But that's no matter what kind of personality you have, no matter what kind of person you are, even if I was more, I don't know, reserved or not quite as outspoken, there would still be people that would not like you, right? Not like me. So, yeah, it's been an interesting experience, but I do find it funny when I see people, trying to yell and scream at me as if somehow I care. It's like you can't, like, you need to understand, you cannot put yourself out there like this in a vulnerable situation and care about what people think. Now, that doesn't mean you don't hope that people like you. It would be wonderful if everybody agreed, in terms of well, actually, it wouldn't be wonderful if everybody agreed, because then, what fun would that be? But you know what I mean, in the sense of that it would be wonderful, of course, if nobody went online and talked, or Reddit and, all that kind of stuff. But that's not the world we live in, right? There are people there's different personalities, there's different people, and it's just the way it is. Do you know what I mean? And so, but yeah, no, I definitely have my father's. I know how to get under people's skin. I know what I'm doing. Or I know, now that doesn't mean I'm doing that all the time. I'm just saying that if I want to get under somebody's skin, like those people are like, "Arr," I know how to do that. I know how to do that. And I will say something that I know if they're watching, they'll go, "Arr," you know what I mean? I know what I'm doing. That doesn't mean I'm doing that all the time, of course, but like my father knew what he was doing. My father was so brilliant. He could make you cry because he would write something so beautiful, about war veterans or, Veterans Day in the US, which is Remembrance Day here. My dad was honored at the Canadian Legion, and he would, because his own father was killed in World War II. My grandfather, Earl Pichet. And so my dad had a great respect, and his dad, which came to technically his stepdad, but his dad that he knew, his only dad that he knew ever since he was 3, was in the Canadian Air Force. So, there's military in our family, and my dad had great respect for that. And my dad would write this beautiful, like just so incredible, he'd get nominated for an award for it or something. And then he'd write something the next day to piss you off. You know what I mean? Like, but he knew what he was doing. He wrote the truth how he saw it. He did not shy away from his opinions, and you either agreed with his opinions or you didn't, and so that's kind of the approach that I've always taken. I have to be my authentic self. The one thing that I've said, and I said it on the last stream, the one thing that I just hope people always remember is that, and this goes for, well, I can't speak for everybody, but is that I can only speak for me. But always remember that when I talk smack, or when I talk shit, or when I talk, very outspoken about a certain movie, let's say, like, I always use the example of like Halloween 5, right? Or Halloween Resurrection. Me saying it's a big pile of shit, or it's garbage, or going to the extreme and using all this hyperbolic language to, paint a picture, right? That doesn't mean that I am saying all those who do like it are pieces of shit, right? And that's one of the big things that I find here, is that I think there are so many people that take it so personally. Like, me attacking Halloween Resurrection is an attack on you. And it's not. I don't know you. You could be a lovely person, amazing. We could get along, shoot the shit, have a beer, laugh until the cows come home. You know what I'm saying? And, but it's just one of those things where where that is it's remarkable to me how angry, because I've seen it. I mean, ever since I've been on here in 2017, I've gotten comments on YouTube videos, on Reddit. I've been sent DMs, people ripping into me. Hey, this is why resurrection. And it's just like, God, it's okay. It's okay. It's cool. If you, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You could be. It's like, listen, dude, it's not. You know, and so that's one of the big things that I hope always people remember is that when you see people like me screaming and yelling how much they hate Halloween 5, they're not saying how much they hate you. You know what I mean? But there's to disassociate, you know, that it from being just a general sort of thought to a personal attack can be hard for some people because they're so emotionally invested into what they love that it feels like a personal attack on them. When people say that they think Avatar is the biggest shit in the world, they're not saying I think Dave McRae is the biggest shit in the world. I mean, maybe they are, but I'm just saying, right? That's not what they're saying, right? You know, now, are there people out there that do think that Halloween Resurrection's a piece of shit and everybody who likes Halloween Resurrection is a piece of shit? Because if you were a good person and you knew anything, you would not like Halloween Resurrection. Well, yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that do believe that, but I don't believe that. That's not what I'm saying. So, you know, yeah. But anyways, yes, I do carry a lot of my father in me, as you can clearly see. Let me see here. Okay, I got all the super chats, right? I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. Or no member chats yet either. Oh, hang on. There we are. All right, let's keep going here. Dustin says, hey, Chester, Merry Christmas. Davey Deathray, Halloween 5, dog shit. Lucius the Killer says, as long as nobody's sending you death threats, then that's good. Oh, I've received them. I have. Yep, I've received death threats. Not one word of a lie. I have, yeah. And so has Tony Michael. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, we have. And so it's, you know, it's now, when I say it's from one individual in particular who is incredibly unhinged and needs psychological help, for sure. But yeah, no, we have. I still have the email. And I kept it in case the authorities do need to be contacted. No, I have. And it is remarkable how under the skin I can get, you know, with certain people. It's really fascinating. And it's not just like there's a lot of people that I've that Dave McRae, I think he thinks he's this. And that's the thing too. I love it when people say Dave McRae thinks he's I think what? You think you're just so the best filmmaker of all time. It's like, when did I say? No, you think that's what I'm saying. I never said that. You think that's what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? I never said that. Well, so fun. I love it. Ryan Oshlo says, Dave, have you seen the 1980 horror film Demented? I have not. I don't know if I've heard of it. I'd have to check it out. Davey Deathray follows up, says, yeah, I've run into that a lot with people talking musical taste. People get so wrapped up in the art the art they enjoy that they act like it's their art. Yes, exactly. You're bang on, Davey. And so you can relate. Yeah, because you come from that musical background. It's so funny. I always knew, because again, I know how to get under people's skin. I know how to push buttons. That's, you know, if I wanted to come on here and make a lot of people mad at me, I could. But I think sometimes people just, and it depends on the person, right? It's not everybody, right? There are people that love me, that totally get my shtick and you know, aren't upset that if they love Halloween 5 and I don't, we can still, you know, we can all get along and be friends. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. It's only when somebody attacks you. Like if I actually came on here and said, listen, I think Halloween 5 is and you've heard me say it, Halloween 5 is a big pile of shit. I mean, what is this? He's walking around aimlessly. If I buttoned my Halloween 5 rants with, and that's just how I feel about Halloween 5. And by the way, those of you that like Halloween 5, you're pieces of shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You are a dick. You like Halloween 5? You don't know taste, man. You're a piece of crap. Well, yeah. Then it would be like, Excuse me? What? Okay. But I've never said that. But I think people think that I'm projecting that. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that I think Halloween 5's crap. That's it. You don't. That's great. And I'm not the arbiter. I mean, it's not like I'm I'm somehow, and that's another thing I think too, is that some fans, because they're emotionally, because we here on YouTube are in a position of, we'll say, a certain level of authority, because we are the ones with the voice, we are the ones with the platform, we are the ones with the following, that somehow it creates this illusion that we are that the buck stops with us in terms of what the actual final say is on a particular topic or film. And the fact of the matter is, unless I am talking about something that is objective, like, technical logistics of filmmaking, or lenses, or, shot composition, or, all that kind of stuff, unless I'm talking about something we can measure, it's open to interpretation. Now, I am not somebody that does subscribe to the idea that all film is subjective. I think there is a certain level of subjectivity to it, but I do think there is a standard for which society has, that the vast majority of society has said, we have agreed that this is what good storytelling is. This is what makes a good movie. And therefore, generally speaking, if this criteria and these things are followed, the vast majority of people will agree that this is a great film, or this is a great story, or these are great characters, right? There is a certain level of objectivity in the storytelling structure, and how characters are developed, and character arcs and archetypes and psychology and sociology, and how to tap into a audience's subconscious through symbolism and mythology and cinematic language. And these are things we can measure. And if you know your history or mythology or religion or, symbolism, and I'm not sitting here, claiming to be, the world's foremost expert on it. I'm just saying that there are things we can do within the confines of art that isn't always subjective. However, whether you like a movie or not, whether it resonates with you or not, is completely subjective. 100%. So, me saying that I hate Halloween 5, if you love Halloween 5, well, that's great. That it worked for you, and that's great, right? But I think a lot of people get so invested, and it's not just with me, it's, with a lot of people online, that because it's like Rotten Tomatoes critics, right? Because they have the voice. Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate. It's just a bunch of people giving their opinions. It's not like Rotten Tomatoes is a boardroom with 5 people sitting higher up than you, like a judge, sitting there going, this movie is good. This one is bad. That's the final say, and it will go down in history as the final say. No, it's a bunch of people, and a lot of the Rotten Tomatoes critics, I'm just saying, there's a lot on there that are great. They know their filmmaking history. They know how movies are made. They know movies. And then there's some people on there that sound like they're like, Billy Bob's Fart Block. I'm just saying, right? But we put so much stock into it. Like, like they are as I said, like the CEOs of, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of illusion that's created around this kind of stuff. And but does that mean there are not smart film people and people that don't know? Yes. Would you be a better conversationalist if you knew the business of film, if you know how films are made, if you knew the filmmaking process, if you knew the logistics of what it took to make a movie? Would you be more informed and better at debating and speaking about movies than you would be if you knew nothing about that? Yes, of course. The more informed you are on a topic, the better you can debate it and speak about it, right? So, there are a lot of people that really have no idea how movies are made. They have no idea how much movies really cost, right? And why studios make certain decisions and why filmmakers are making they don't know, because they're always thinking about it and feeling it from an emotional fan perspective, not a business filmmaking perspective, right? And then there are people that do that. There's lots of people that are aware of that, and things like that. But so I've always said that if you want to take to the interwebs and really make a go at it and really have a, whether it's on here like me or whether it's in the chat rooms on Reddit, whatever it is, then you better make sure that you are informed on a topic that you're talking about. If it's something that goes beyond the threshold of just, I like this movie, I don't like this movie. If you want to start talking about the filmmaking process and that kind of stuff, you better be informed. And I don't just mean taking guesses of what you think something costs or how you think something is done. I mean, really knowing. And again, that's not me claiming to be an expert, but I can certainly tell you, having made 2 films now and worked at a professional level doing it, there's a lot of shit that I already knew, which was great, that I was able to apply. And there was a lot of shit that I didn't know that I now know, that I'm so thankful I know, that I can take forward and teach you guys about it as well. And so there's a lot of learning and a lot of stuff, like I said on a stream a couple of weeks ago, I wish if I could snap my fingers and make everybody go through making a real movie once in their lives, I would, because you'd have a whole different perspective on it. That doesn't mean that we have to accept garbage, right? There's that saying, making movies is hard. It is hard. That's not an excuse that's not something we can use as an excuse to just accept bad movies. It is hard. And it's a miracle that movies get made at all. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but yeah, there's a lot of people that jump on and will always attack from an emotional space, because they're not thinking. They're thinking about it from a fan, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Captain Casual sends in $5. Thank you, Captain. Says, I remember being excited for Christmas due to the commercials that came on TV when I was little. Great memories. Yeah. If you just YouTube, 80s, I don't know when you were born, but I was born 1979. So, sometimes I will YouTube like 80s, Christmas commercials or just 80s commercials. And yeah, the Christmas ones, it's usually Santa Claus with, the Diet Coke. There was a lot of good Christmas ones, but again, I mean, television's not the same anymore, right? I mean, most of us don't have cable anymore, and cable is it's not dead, surprisingly, but it's not what it used to be. Back in the 80s and in the 90s, especially the 80s, but back in the 80s and the 90s, I mean, television was where it's at. There was no streaming. There was no internet. I mean, there was internet in the late 90s, but it was still in its infancy. When I was in high school, it was on dial-up, and I didn't have my first email address until I was in the 12th grade. I was like 18 years old. I failed the grade. That's why I was 18 and not 17. But I mean, I was basically done high school when I finally got an email address. So, although email addresses although the internet was around in the mid to late 90s, even before that, it wasn't what it is now. And certainly there was no social media or anything like that, right? So, yeah. Wonder why I'm getting a call from there. So yeah, no, but I agree with you. Those old commercials, definitely. When I think of Christmas, Christmas really hasn't, yeah. There's lots of things I think of when I think of Christmas. Jeremy Hemp sends in $20. A very generous super chat. Thank you, Jeremy. Really appreciate that. Says, hey there, Dave from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been following you for about 2 years. Discovered you on the TSL podcast. Amazing, that's really cool, because the TSL podcast was started, like Frank and Darren met on my channel because they're 2 mods here. So that's actually really cool. 2 best horror channels in my opinion. As a horror fan, I appreciate all you do and agree with and agree with you 100%. I assume that means 100% all the time. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Have a great holiday. You as well, Jeremy. Thank you for sending that in. Hey, if somebody agrees with me 100% of the time, that's great. But I like it when people don't agree. Again, I'm a firm believer, and this might sound like an overused cliche, but I do believe that it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? We can disagree on something, which I actually quite like, because if somebody does know how to form a coherent thought, if somebody does know how to express themselves in an articulate sort of passionate way, which is really exciting, but just so happens to be the opposite of what I think, I love reading that kind of stuff. Like if somebody wants to jump into the comments and say, hey, Dave, I know you hate Halloween Resurrection, but this is why I love it. You know what I mean? And it's not an attack on me. It's just them saying, here's why I love it. And they go into why they love it and they make some good points or whatever. And I love reading that stuff. I think that's so cool. What I don't have time for is the childish sort of elementary school drama. Fucking, I think you're fucking, fuck. And oh my God. Like I remember when somebody sent me a DM about a year or so ago to a Reddit thread. Now, I'm not on Reddit. I do have an account because I created one specifically to start posting about It's Me, Billy. But then Reddit doesn't really like you self-promoting, apparently, unless it's in like a certain forum that you can do that. But even then, nobody really looks anyway. So I just it's a dead account essentially. But I didn't have an account because I had never been on Reddit. I'd heard of it. I knew what it was, but I'd never been on it. And he sent me this link to this Reddit thread. I forget which one it was, where it was a thread about people talking about me. And obviously it was in relation to something Halloween I had talked about. And thankfully, I don't know if you need one now, but thankfully at the time, you didn't need a Reddit account to be able to read everything. So I clicked the link and I read it and I'm just laughing. I'm reading all this and I'm laughing. I'm thinking, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my age. Probably not, because there's probably a lot of people my age and older that do that. But I have never in my life, and this is not me saying that I'm better than you. I'm just telling you about me. I have never in my life watched something, whether it's a movie, watched a personality on YouTube or on television or whatever. Never where something has grinded my gears so much that I felt the need to take to Reddit or to some forum and write a 50 million word diatribe on why that person's a piece of crap. It's like, well, I could understand if, I don't know, I slept with your wife or something. Do you know what I mean? I can understand if it was personal, right? Like if you knew me and I was a dick and I owed you money and I wasn't paying you back, or, we got into a fight and I punched you in the face, a cheap shot, or, I can understand even then, but it's like people actually get this riled up over people they don't know on the internet. It's wild. It's wild to me. If there's somebody that I don't jive with, do you know what I do? I just don't watch them. Like I just go, Now, again, I don't know if that's my age, being nearly 45, and I come from an era where there was no internet and, a time when if we just didn't like something, we just didn't watch it. And again, I'm not, but I find it interesting. People, and so I was reading this and there was all this stuff and people like, yeah, fuck that Dave McCrae. He's a wild piece of cunt, piece of shit. He thinks he's this big movie guy. And I'm like, I think I'm this big movie guy. What? Why would I think that? I've made 2 movies. At the time, it was only 1. I'm like, what? I think I think, and the only thing I can think of is because I speak with confidence, right? So I think there's this illusion that's created because I speak with confidence on topics that I feel confident about, that somehow to certain people, it comes across as pretentious. And it's like, no, I just talking confidently on a topic I know a lot about, like how you would talk confidently on a topic you know a lot about. You know what I mean? But then people might feel insecure when I start hamming on Halloween 5 or something like that. But yeah, it's fascinating, man. Like it's been a real interesting journey to to see that, you know. But then again, at the same time, we got to give love to all the people that express their love. I mean, I have received way more messages from people that say, hey, Dave, I just want to let you know that I think you're great, or, you know, you got me through a hard time. I just want to say, you know, I love your content, like what you just did, right? You know, like there's way more people that do that, of course. But the people that are, they're just loud. You know what I mean? They're loud and it's wild, man. It's wild. Brandon Collins says, this is my first Christmas in 5 years not being completely alone. Between my mom dying, the pandemic, and spending a year in the hospital, I forgot how to Christmas. Well, hey, man, I hear you. And that's really great that you'll be able to actually have a better Christmas this year. So I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Brandon, and stay strong, chin up. And, you know, I hope these next few days go well for you and you can have some smiles on your face. That's awesome. And my condolences to you with your mom. I you know, obviously I know all about how hard that is. So my condolences. Golden Boy 220608 says, hi, Dave. Merry Christmas. Just wondering why actors can make money off of It's Me, Billy, but you and Bruce are not allowed. That's because we're the producers. So we are the ones that have created the project. We are the ones that have are spearheading the project. It's our project. So we as producers, under the fair use laws here in Canada, we are not allowed to make money from it. So we cannot seek distribution from it. We cannot make money on the back ends and all that kind of stuff, but neither can the actors. So we are allowed to raise money to make the movie. We can pay the crew and pay the actors, but the actors are not allowed to make, you know, dividends, residuals, all that kind of stuff. They can't, you know, we can't be, and the reason why they can't is because there is no opportunity for them to do that legally because we cannot seek distribution for it. So yeah, so that's essentially, you know, the Cliff Notes version of it. Yeah, so again, we can raise money to make the movie. And obviously, you know, Chapter 2 was a far more expensive film because it's a union shoot, right? And even with Olivia not on board, we reinvested that money back into the film. So into equipment, into the crew, into the hotels. And I don't mean lavish hotels. I just mean giving everybody their own room instead of everybody having to share a room. You know, things like that. Everybody was just at the Comfort Inn. It's not like we put people up in the Hilton. So, but still, to do that for everybody, like, you got to keep in mind, you know, everybody, I don't know how much now the hotel was, but I think it was over 10 grand for a week. I'm pretty sure it was, for, you know, the crew, right? You know, and that's just the hotel, right? So, you know, but when you're shooting a professional film where you're using union actors and crew and all that, you know, you're not just paying people to be in the movie, you're paying into their health and pension and, you know, their benefits and all that kind of stuff too, right? That's what the union, you know, they take that too. So there's, again, these are things where, you know, when we've been accused of just like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. You raise all this money and you're only going to deliver you know, a short film. Yes, of course, you can absolutely make a feature film with $20,000, but it's going to look like you made a feature film for $20,000. The reason why It's Me, Billy looks the way it does is not just because we're shooting on the Arri Alexa. Sure, that helps. That's a cinematic grade camera where they've shot major Hollywood films on, Halloween films. But it's also because we're hiring the professionals that know how to use it and know how to craft the lighting and work with us to create our vision. You can have the best piano in the world, the most magnificent sounding piano in the world, but if you don't know how to play it, it's going to sound like dog shit, right? I don't know how to play the piano. I can get in front of the world's most finely tuned piano and it's going to sound like dog shit. Right. So that's why, you know, when people say, oh, it looks amazing, what camera, you know, did you use? It's like, well, we used the Arri Alexa, but it's, you know, you can still make a movie look like shit using the Arri Alexa if you wanted to, right? If you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where to place the camera, you don't know how to craft the light, you don't know how to, you know, what lenses to use. If you're not a professional and you don't know what you're doing, you can make it look subpar. But the reason why the Billy films look as good as they do and the Hollywood films look as good as they do is because they have people in positions, they've hired professionals, and hiring professionals costs money, right? And even on our low budget independent shoot, you know, even the money we're paying the crew is a little bit below scale with what they would get, you know, anyway, right? You know what I mean? Because there's so many costs, right? When you're doing a professional film. So, anyways, I digress. I know that went off in a bit of a thing, but it's all connected because I have had people say to me, well, that doesn't make any sense. I could make 50 movies with $100,000. Like, yeah, you could. And it would all look like you made, you know, 50 movies for, you know, $5,000, right? And there's a reason why, you know, again, these films look like they do. And it's not just because we're shooting, you know, with the equipment we are, it's because we're hiring the people we are, you know, and we're working with the actors we are. And, you know, again, let's not forget that the location, the house, you know, it's not I mean, we have to rent that for a week. Right? You know what I mean? We have to feed 25 people for a week. We have to have production insurance, WSIB and health and safety insurance. You know, we have to, like, it costs a lot of money. You know, so, but yeah, no, that's why. Yeah, we can raise money to make. We can't, as producers, we are the creators of the project. We are the spearheaders. We are the owners of the project. We are not allowed to make money from it. It has to be, we can raise money to make it, and it has to be released 100% for free. Now, if the rights holders want to come forward and say, hey, we love what you've done, we want to work with you and see if we can make this official, like really official in some way, whether it's not, you know, in theaters, but maybe they want to put it on a anniversary release of Black Christmas, right? As like a companion piece. And maybe it ends up on one of the 4K releases or something. That's really cool. Or, you know, like in the special features, you know, watch this, you know, hey, you know, who knows if that ever were to happen, well, then maybe there'll be an opportunity there for us to make a bit of money. But until that happens, if it were to ever happen, it has to remain not-for-profit. Not-for-profit, like, it's like a not-for-profit organization, right? If you work for a not-for-profit organization, you get paid to do your job, right? It's that the organization itself cannot make a profit and start reeling in billions of dollars, right? But you working for a not-for-profit, you get paid, right? So it's the same kind of thing. Dustin says, do you have to show that all the money you got went into the movie's creation? I'm sure you use all the money as its expense, but what would you do if you had leftover money? Well, that's why you do budgets. So Bruce and I, when you are putting together, again, it's a crowd-funded project, right? So there's a lot of hats that Bruce and I are wearing that we would not be wearing if this was a larger shoot where we had more money to be able to hire all sorts of people, right? Bruce and I were the writers, were the directors, were the producers. That's fine. But Bruce was also the production manager on this shoot, right? I was the props master, you know, on this shoot. We're both the script supervisors on this shoot. You know, we're both, you know, there's lots of sort of roles, right? And so there's a lot of areas that we are tackling. So one of the things that we do when you are wanting to work at this level is that you cannot go to, especially when it's crowdfunded, you can't go to your viewers, to the public, and say, I think we're going to need this. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You have to know within a certain margin, right, in the ballpark. Obviously, actuals, which are actual numbers, you know, you'll know at a different point, but you have to be able to do your research and your due diligence to find out how much is it going to cost to, you know, ballpark feed 25 people 3 meals a day for a week. Well, I can tell you it's going to cost thousands of dollars, right? How much is it going to cost to rent this gigantic mansion for a week? Thousands of dollars, right? And so, you know, we have to go and we have to find out these actuals. We have to work with these people and find out. And that's how we create a budget. We go to the union, right? Well, we have to pay the actors a rate. We can't just, we have to, according to union rules, based on our budget, based on, you know, this and this and this is what the actor, your lead actor, your principal actor has to be paid. And if you don't want to pay them that, then you can't use them according to union rules. Pretty simple, right? And so we have to do that. Everybody on the shoot is union now. It's Me, Billy 1, although we approached it in a professional manner and hired professional actors and professional crew, It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 was a non-union shoot, right? Well, all the actors that were non-union on Chapter 1 are now union. And believe it or not, It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 was able to give Victoria and Caro their full union membership, which is really fucking cool. That's really fucking cool. But anyway, so we break down a budget or we come up with a budget, we break it all down, and then we say, okay, well, this is what we think we're going to need. And that's what we take to the viewers, right? That's what we take to the Indiegogo campaign. So money left over is, I can tell you right now, full disclosure, there is no money that's left over. And as a matter of fact, like Chapter 1, there's going to be a little bit we're going to have to pay out of pocket. And that's simply because things change on the fly, right? Things change, things alter. You know, there's a lot of things that it's always sort of an evolving kind of situation. And so there is no money that's left over. If there was, we would probably donate it, you know, to some sort of charity, some sort of filmmaking charity, maybe the Toronto Film School or something like that. But when Bruce and I file our business taxes next year, we have to show not for profit. We have to show zero because we're not allowed to make anything. So we actually have to show that our business made nothing, only because it's a not-for-profit fan film, right? This is one of the reasons why when people say, oh, do this fan film, do that fan film, I don't want, like, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but the amount of hard work that goes into making It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, Dylan's New Nightmare, the Never Hike Alone films. I mean, these are real independent films that carry the fan film name because we have to, just because we don't own the IP. But it is fan film in name only. These are not backyard with your friends shooting on your iPhone. These are legit, professional, indie, unionized films. And so that it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work when you're not getting paid. And so Bruce and I no longer want to do that. If we're going to put all this time and all this money and all this energy moving forward into a film, we want to be able to actually, you know, own it this time and be able to seek distribution and make money from it. And maybe you guys will be able to watch a movie we made on Netflix or Amazon or something. How cool would that be, right? And so that's the goal, right? That's why we're doing no more fan films. I mean, there's just no way, you know, and so anyways, to answer your question directly, yes, if there was money left over, we would donate it to a charity because we have to. By law, we have to. We cannot show that we've made money. And Dark Chapter Pictures is a real business. So we have to file business taxes and we have to show that, you know, we didn't make anything. So yeah, it's a lot, you know, it's a lot. And this whole experience has been a real experience. You know, again, as I've said, I've worked many years in the entertainment business and I've met a lot of people and there's a lot of crossover. You know, when you work in the entertainment biz for as long as I have, there's a lot of crossover and you meet different people and all that kind of stuff. But this is my first time. The Billy films is my first time really making a go at it as a filmmaker. And I've learned a lot. There's a lot that I already knew, obviously, but there's a lot that I've learned. And I'm excited to get Billy done out there, out of the way, and move on to the next project, you know, but yeah, no more fan films, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, no more fan films like this. I mean, that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not going to shoot something on my phone that's like 30 seconds long or something. Sure. You know, fun, but I can't put this level of time and energy into this ever again and not be paid. I mean, this is legit shit. You know, there's and the teaser that we released is evident of that. I mean, you see the quality that we're working with and that we're producing, and that's because it's the real deal. And, you know, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of hard work and a lot of time and a lot of money to make that. And so, yeah, moving forward, original stuff. It can't, you know, because I know there were people like, you should do that. Say you should put that much energy into a Halloween fan film. It's like, are you insane? Malek Akkad would never let that fly. Could you imagine if we released a Halloween fan film with the production value of Billy? There's no way he's going to let that fly. We're shooting on the same camera they shot the Halloween movies on. You know, working with there's no way he's going to let. He's not. He sends cease and desist orders to lesser quality fan films. So that's number one. And number two is there is no way in hell I am ever going through what I went through this past year, which is all great, but a lot of hard work and for a fan film. You know what I mean? Again, like it's no, I want to do something original now. And so there's an opportunity for distribution. You know, even if it's a short film, it doesn't have to be a feature. It could be another short film. There's lots of short films on Amazon Prime, right? You know, even if it's a short film, maybe it'll be a short film that gets onto Shudder, you know, or gets onto Tubi, or I don't know, you know, who knows, right? But just something that we can now seek actual distribution. Veda agrees. She's running around here. But thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Have I missed any super chats, guys? I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. I don't think I have, so I just want to make sure that I haven't. Backtrack Cinema, Jason Nike, ladies and gentlemen, says, hey, Dave, why do you think 70s films feel like you're watching something real? I think there's a combination of a couple of things. I think, you know, it's the film stock as well, right? The 70s films were either shot on 16 millimeter or 35. So there's a different process. I think 70s films, horror in particular, you know, there's a nuance to it. There's a slower pace to it. You know, there's a deliberate feel to the shots, and you know, this and this and then this and then this, which is sort of how I kind of am. I've noticed that about myself. I'm a very old school, and there's nothing wrong with this, but Bruce pointed this out to me when we were working on the script for, I don't know if it was chapter 1 or chapter 2. The ideas I was coming up with and sort of the shots and things like that. He had said to me, and he meant this as a, you know, a good thing. It's not a bad thing. He said a lot of just the ideas and the shots and things like that, he could tell that I'm heavily influenced by old school horror. And I am. I mean, I am. So so if I was ever directing a film on my own, like the Billy films are a combination of myself and Bruce. There's a lot of shots in there that are his ideas. There's a lot of shots in there that are my ideas. And then there's a lot of shots in there, and, you know, composition that are both of our ideas. Veda's moving all around. She's going, she's trying to get my attention. Come and say hello, Veda. But I think if I had ever directed a film, I think Bruce tends to be a little more, maybe a little more, I don't know if modern's the right word, but certainly maybe a little more modern in his style than I am. And I tend to be a little more old school in my style than he is. But you throw us together and that's an interesting combination. But I think, you know, the film stock, the deliberate, slow, sort of pensive nature of the filmmaking style back then, things were not, you know, so there's time for you to really see and feel the scene and the characters and the environment and things like that. And of course, you know, there was a lot more theater of the mind, depending on the film, back then. So, you know, you're left to your own imagination and things can feel a little more real, a little more visceral because of the film grain and the film stock and how things were kind of shot. It felt a little more raw, you know, as opposed to overly produced like things are today. Horror movies are overly produced today, generally, right? And so it doesn't really feel real necessarily. It just feels more like a ride or a show, and sometimes a really good show and a good ride. But a lot of the old school films and their deliberate pensive sort, I don't know if pensive is the right word, but deliberate, slower kind of nature of how scenes are set up and shots are set up. They take their time and there's more breathing room and all that kind of stuff. I think it helps to create this realness, right? This sort of, because you're really there, you know what I mean? Whereas horror movies today are, and it's just like, you know, again, I that's my answer off the top of my head. Anyways, answer off the top of my head. Riley O'Brien says, Dave, there are many things I admire about your approach, but you have a talent of being genuine and honest. You're very measured and it is easy to respect. Plus funny as hell, Buster Rhymes, trick or treat, motherfucker. Thank you, Riley. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I mean, not everybody feels that way, obviously, but I appreciate you saying that. Well, it's important to be honest, right? It's important to be honest. I feel it's important to be honest and speak about, I don't feel I have anyway, that I have ever spoken about something that has been so far out of my wheelhouse, but claimed to be an expert in it. I don't feel that way at all. I think there are some viewers that have gotten that impression that somehow, you know, like one of the things that I, and I mentioned this only because you reminded me of it. Not so much anymore. And maybe it's because I kind of put a squash on it a long time ago, but I remember when I would say something like, I would preface a discussion I was about to get into and say something to the effect of that, well, as somebody who works in the entertainment business, right? I would say like that sentence. Or I would say something like, well, you know what? Having worked in the entertainment business for as long as I have, I'd say something like that. And the reason why I will often preface maybe something that I'm about to say with saying that is because not everybody, like I'm getting new viewers all the time, and not everybody knows what I do for a living. Right? And sometimes there is a discussion that I'm about to get into that I want my viewers, not the viewers that tune in all the time, not the Rosalias, not the Davey, Death Rays, not the Geeked Out Turtle fans, not the Evil Alexes. They already know this. I'm talking about new people who are tuning into the first time or might tune into the first time later, right? Who they just know me as Dave the YouTuber, but they don't know that I actually have a life outside of this, right? As we all do. And so I will sometimes preface something I'm about to say by saying that so viewers understand that I am coming from a place of being informed because I work in the business for which I am talking about. That's not me saying that I'm Martin Scorsese. That's not me saying that I'm Steven Spielberg, but I've been accused by saying that, people go, oh, Dave, he's trying to make himself out to be bigger than he really is. It's like, no, what? No, it's like if you were a plumber, right? And you're a professional plumber and you've been a professional plumber for 22 years. And so there's something about water and drainage, that you're about to launch into, and you want the people to know who you're talking to. You want them to know that, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm not talking out of my ass with what I'm about to say. I'm coming from a place of being informed. Right? As a plumber of 22 years, in my experience, as a professional plumber of 22 years, in my experience, this is sort of, how that's all that is. But there are a lot of people that are very insecure and have deep inferiority complexes and think by me saying that, I'm somehow trying to paint myself out to be Martin Scorsese. No, you're trying to paint me to be that way. I never said that. I've made 2 movies in my life. What the fuck are you talking about? What? Huh? But as somebody who has worked in the business a long time, as I've often said, my expertise comes in the voiceover world, primarily. I do have some expertise in the filmmaking side, having gone to film school and worked on set and been very inquisitive in my filmmaking journey throughout all the years. But my expertise is in the acting and the voiceover side of things in particular. But when you work in a business long enough, there's all sorts of crossover. I've met filmmakers and writers and musicians and athletes and producers and filmmakers. And when you're in the business long enough, right, because they're all interconnected, right? It's the entertainment business. And so when you're in the business long enough, And if you are successful, which causes you to stay in the business for a long time, you will meet all sorts of people. You know, I mean, I did voiceovers for I was hired to do voiceovers at the studio for the keyboardist of the Canadian band Glass Tiger. Now, you may not know who they are, maybe, but you definitely have heard a lot of their songs. Even in the US, you've heard a lot of their songs. And so I say that as an example of, I'm a voice actor heading to the studio of the keyboardist of Glass Tiger. What? You know what I'm saying? It's all the entertainment business, right? So that's what I mean, that when you're in the business long enough, you meet all kinds of people and you have all sorts of different experiences. And so, yeah, but I find it really funny that me just saying that somehow equates to, I'm the best in the world. I'm the best in the world. What? What the fuck are you on? Huh? No, that's not what I mean. So I try to be honest, but there are a lot of people, when they don't like you and they think you're being a certain way, they want to be able to kind of, you know, another example, you know, when people try to, you know, bring me down is they go to my IMDb page, right? And they go, well, he's a voice actor, but he's just done some kids TV shows. He's not a real voice actor. He doesn't have any success. It's like, well, this is where ignorance comes into play, is that the vast majority of my career as a voice actor has been spent in commercial, trailer, and promo and narration, right? And, you know, television commercials and network promos and movie trailers don't wind up on IMDb. I have done, not one word of a lie, thousands of commercials over the years, whether it's Coca-Cola, Walmart, the Toronto Blue Jays, Costco, you name it, I've done it. And so those things don't wind up on IMDb because they're commercials, right? Yeah, you go to my IMDb and it looks like I've done 5 things. Do you know what I mean? Of course it's gonna, well, 5 TV shows in terms of cartoons, because just a few years ago, that's when I first really began getting into the animation side, which has been really, really cool. You know, but again, this is ignorance, right? From people that don't know how this all works. And so they try to, they use things like, you see, it's like, nah, yeah. If IMDb listed my commercial, promo, and trailer credits, I'd have like 2,500 credits at IMDb, but they don't do that because it's the Internet Movie Database. It's about movies and television shows. There's a few television shows I have on there, like Four Weddings Canada and Risky Business, not the Tom Cruise thing. It was another show. And Final 24 and What's for Sale with a View. Those are TV shows that I've narrated. And then there's there's about 4 animated TV shows on there now too, because I'm just started to do more animation. So anyways, that's another example of people trying to, I'm just like, why do you, what, like, on what planet have I ever given the impression that I'm somehow this elite Spielberg? What? Because I talk confidently about the things I'm passionate about? Hey man, I sense an inferiority complex here. Right? So anyways, again, I digress. But what you said there just kind of reminded me of that thing. I don't really deal with it too much anymore, but I have dealt with it in the past. And the only thing I can equate it to is that I will sometimes preface a conversation I'm about to start with saying something like that, because I want people to know who are new that I'm speaking from a place of being informed. You know, I mean, I could understand if I was like, yeah, I just got done shooting a movie with Scorsese. Fuck, man. Fuck, there's a lot of insecure people out there. Davey Deathray says, I effing love Glass Tiger. Hey, you know them. Amazing. Yeah, they're great. And it was funny. This was like, this is maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. And I was booked to do, it was funny. I was booked to do some corporate narration for them. Not for them, for an e-learning company, but for whatever reason, they had booked out Sam Reed, who's the keyboardist for Glass Tiger, had booked out their studio. And I'm like, okay. So I go over and he's a really nice guy. And we shot the shit for a while. And it was before they were going to release a 30th anniversary album. So I was in his office and he was showing me all sorts of photos with him and, I mean, the who's who of the 80s, right? I mean, at the Grammys and all that, because I think they won a Grammy, if I'm not mistaken. And he was showing me all sorts of photos and the idea for their album. So, oh yeah, he's a really, really cool guy. But that's what I mean, right? Like, what are the odds? You know, I mean, and I wasn't even doing voiceovers for him. It was for, the company had rented out his studio, right? But that's my point. When you work in a certain business long enough, there's a lot of overlap and you meet all sorts of different kinds of people. You'd be surprised the people I've met, you know, and spoken to, or the after parties I've been to, and things like that. And it's been interesting. But no, for those of you out there that may have thought I was saying I was Martin Scorsese, I'm not Martin Scorsese. I'm Christopher Nolan. Anyway, Sweet Tea sends in $10. Thank you, Sweet Tea, and says, for the channel, my friend, Merry Christmas and be safe too. The tea is sweet tonight. Thank you, Sweet Tea. Really appreciate that. Taylor Paulson sends in $5. Says, hey, brother, I'm currently at work. Just wanted to say rock and Merry Christmas. Gail Weathers signing off. Oh, my God. The Gail Weathers signing off thing was so funny. Shout out to Tony Michael and that was so funny. Gail Weathers. Yeah, when Gail dies, hopefully in the next Scream, it's got to be Gail Weathers signing off. It's got to be. It has to be. It's a missed opportunity. I'm telling you right now. Taylor Paulson, another $2. Cool face and a pumpkin. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Let me see here. Evil Alex says, what's your favorite memories of Christmas from your childhood and gifts you got? And what was the first time you saw Black Christmas? Merry Christmas and wish you a great holidays. Well, I was kind of talking about it at the beginning of the show, Evil Alex. I one of my favorite memories is my dad taking me on the Santa Claus watch. And it was just something he did with all of us kids. Every Christmas Eve, he would take us to a remote place and we'd have hot chocolate and shortbread cookies and we'd look up at the stars and we'd look for Santa. And so that was a really cool thing. The first time I watched Black Christmas was, 30 years ago. It was a long time ago. It's been a very long time since I first watched it, but I always liked it. And because it's my style of horror, right? It's my style of horror. It's my style of that slow burn kind of thing. And it's one of my favorite. My favorite horror movie of all time is Halloween. But Black Christmas, it's probably top 5. If it's not top 5, because I got Halloween, the first Elm Street, The Shining. So many. It's so hard, If it's not top 5, it probably is. The original Black Christmas is definitely one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And it's definitely in my top 10, 100%, and probably my top 5. I love it. And I've grown to appreciate it even more so having done these films, right? So I appreciate that even more. Let me see here. Did I get them all, the super chats? I think I did. I just want to make sure. Let me scroll back here. I got that. Lee the Machine Bowers. Happy holidays, Dave and Veda. I'm inviting my friends over. We're doing Black Christmas 74 and It's Me Billy double feature and ordering pizza. And my girlfriend got me a birthday cake for my birthday today. Cheers, my friend. Lee, it sounds like an incredible weekend. Your birthday, a birthday cake from your girlfriend. You're ordering pizza with your friends. You're having a double feature of Black Christmas and It's Me Billy Chapter 1. Incredible. You also have to, after you watch It's Me Billy Chapter 1, you have to show your friends the teaser trailer for Chapter 2. By the way, folks, please continue to share that around. It's Christmas weekend. This is the weekend to do it. So any exposure we can get would be greatly appreciated. I like that. Sean Sheridan. We want a Dave McRae directed Halloween movie. You could do it. Hey, if they ever hired me to direct an actual Halloween movie, which they would never do, not yet anyway. I think I need to get a feature under my belt first. I would totally do it, depending on what the story was. I would do it. But there ain't no more, there are no Halloween fan films, guys. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Dustin says, I get shit for this, but my favorite zombie movie is Return of the Living Dead. Hey, man. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it in so long, but, you know, don't let anybody... I mean, if somebody ribs you, it's like, I think it's a piece of shit. As long as somebody is always focused on, you know, they can disagree with you and they can disagree with your thoughts. But yeah, I mean, as long as somebody is not attacking you as a person, right? Because nobody knows anybody. Nobody knows me as a person. You don't know me. You know what I mean? Just as I don't know anybody else, right? So as long as people keep it, you know, in their lane, it can be a lot of fun. The vitriol, you know, from some people, like when I read all those things on Reddit about all those people attacking me, I had a good laugh, but I thought, man, this is so sad. Like, and some of them were so long. And then some people would go back and forth. Somebody would come in and like defend me. Right? Oh, I think they were, and they'd go back and forth and they'd keep going and going and going and going. And I'm thinking, this is incredibly sad. I don't, why do people care about this? Why are so many people upset with me? Who cares? Like, to the point where you actually take to the interwebs and write diatribes about how much you hate my guts. Dude, I say this with all due respect. Get a fucking life, man. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you see me doing that? You see anybody else doing that? Could you imagine if I was on Reddit? That fucking goddamn, I don't know, Cody Leach. It's incredible. Thomas Cohn says Billy dies in a meat grinder on number 2. He does. He dies in a meat grinder. He does. And he actually dies not in the meat grinder. He dies, he bleeds out onto the, you know, yeah, for sure. All right. Lucius the Killer says, I just hope Gail and Sydney don't die, but that's just me. Well, again, right. It all depends on how they die. You know, and I'm all for legacy characters dying, but it has to be, and I know I say these words a lot, but it has to be properly motivated. When something is properly motivated, that means within the confines, you're always going to piss somebody off. You're always going to upset somebody, right? For the sheer fact that their favorite character has died. Okay, so that's the fandom emotional place. Now, as filmmakers and as storytellers, they think about that too. They do, because sometimes they're fans as well, right? But their number one job is story. And does this make sense? Can we give the story some weight? Can we give the story some bottom? Can we give the story some real stakes and put our viewers on their toes and really, you know what I mean? And one way to do that would be to kill off, not fake kill off, not Marvel kill off, actually kill off Sidney Prescott. Now, saying that at face value is like, no, it's so stupid, don't do that. But if it's properly motivated, which means within the story, the writers have structured a story that moves in a direction where it makes sense for this character within the story, the decisions that are being made, it's not shoehorned in. It's not like she trips and falls and hits her head on a chair and she dies in a coma. It's nothing like that. It's built into the narrative, and the emotional impact and the stakes around it give the story weight and bottom. And it's so powerful that it means something to the series, to the universe, to the movie, to fans. It means something. Fans will always be upset because of the fact that their favorite character died. But when you look at it objectively, it can be incredibly powerful. Now, say what you want about The Force Awakens, right? And there are people that don't like that movie, and that's fine. And there are people that are upset that Han Solo died, and that's fine. But when you remove yourself and your emotional fandom for a moment and you look at the stakes that were built around that scene, it was incredible. And it was so well done. It was so well done. The stake, we can argue about, we should have had Han, Luke, and Leia in a scene together. Who walks out onto that bridge with no railing? Yeah, we can talk about that. But I'm talking about the emotional stakes between Han and Ben, right? You know, Kylo Ren. And, you know, just the symbolism that surrounds that. And, you know, when Kylo Ren says, I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. You know, Han Solo thinks he means, I know I need to come with you to the good side, Dad, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. That's not what he fucking means. That's not what he means. It's brilliant. What he means is, I know I need to kill you because my number one goal in life is to be like Darth Vader, and to earn respect from Snoke, that's what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. That's what he meant. But Han is like, it's okay, baby, it's okay. Incredible, the dichotomy and the difference there and the struggle that's going on, and two characters being at two different places, and the shock of when he puts the lightsaber through, and he thinks that's going to win him over with Snoke. It isn't. It doesn't. You know, like the stakes there that were built around, look, could it have been more? Could it have been deeper? Sure. But it wasn't like Han just walked out onto the thing and fell over, right? There was at least an attempt to give real weight, real bottom, real symbolism and meaning to that. Now, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, whether you hate, you know, the movie or not, okay, fine. But that's what I mean by properly motivated, right? That's what I mean by to give it meaning and weight. And I think as long as it's done that the writing can do that, I'm okay with characters dying as long as it's properly motivated and it gives the story real stakes, real meaning, and real bottom, real weight. That's incredibly important. You know, it's like, imagine if Jenna Ortega did come back and Melissa Barrera did come back and they killed off Jenna Ortega's character. Imagine that. Imagine the bottom and weight of Melissa Barrera seeing Tara, is it Tara? I think it is, seeing her sister die in front of her eyes. Imagine that. It's not shoehorned in. It doesn't feel contrived. It was powerful. It made sense. The decisions that Tara made that led up to her death were not inept decisions that her character made that got her into that position. Like, imagine that. I'm not saying they should do that, because who knows? I guess neither of them are coming back. I think they're still going to come back. But I'm just saying that imagine that, right? How powerful that would be for the character, because it's about the characters. It's about the story, you know? Yeah, I think that would be, that'd be great. But no, I mean, there are a lot of people that don't want that kind of stuff. Davey Deathray just gifted 5 memberships. Incredible. Davey Deathray just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Davey. Evil Alex was gifted a membership. Twiz was gifted a membership. MMK was gifted a membership. Brian Kendrick was gifted a membership. And AK Channel TV was gifted a membership. Davey, thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate that. I'm sure they do as well. That's really cool. So now I know I need to add those 5 names to the member card the next time we go live. Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate that. That was incredibly nice of you to do. Andrew Stevens, one of our great moderators, sends in $10. Thank you, Andrew, and says, tipping the waitress tonight. Let's get jolly. Tipping the waitress tonight. Where are you going to be tonight? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Davey, that was really nice of you, man. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Davey Deathray says, The Force Awakens has a lot going for it and was the perfect launch pad for a trilogy that blew up before it broke the atmosphere. I agree. Well, we all know how I feel about Star Wars, and I'm very aware that this is not generally a Star Wars crowd, so I always tread lightly with getting too deep into it. But I agree with you. I think The Force Awakens was exactly what it needed to be. I mean, could they have made it even better? Sure, of course. But Star Wars was dead for all intents and purposes, and they needed to earn the trust back, and they did. Although there were people that didn't like The Force Awakens, okay, and there were, and thought they played it too safe, that's fine. Listen, how soon we forget the vitriol and the hatred for Disney Star Wars did not come after The Force Awakens. It did not come after The Force Awakens. That doesn't mean that you or somebody else, may not have liked it and thought it was garbage, but I mean overall, the vitriol online and in the forums and wherever did not come after The Force Awakens. It came after The Last Jedi. That was the catalyst that started the downward spiral of the Disney trilogy. The Force Awakens was exactly what it needed to be. And The Last Jedi was exactly what it did not need to be. And then I enjoy The Rise of Skywalker better than The Last Jedi. I think it's a better Star Wars movie than The Last Jedi. But there's a lot of people that think it's worse than The Last Jedi and they hate it. And I'm like, well, I can understand that. I get it. And there's certainly things about it I don't like either. Does it feel like, Palpatine? Yeah, I get it. Feels like two movies in one because it is. There was a lot of things, but based on the problem is The Last Jedi was another first act. You had The Force Awakens was the first act. Rian Johnson came along and said, fuck what JJ was doing. I'm going to do this, and just delivered another first act. And so it started with The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is not the second act of a 3-act play. I'm not saying it's a beautifully made movie. Rian Johnson's an incredible filmmaker, but and so that was the problem. And then JJ comes in again. Is like, I don't know what to do. So they tried to shoehorn in this ending and bring back Palpatine and do all this kind of stuff. And, but I still enjoy The Rise of Skywalker way better than I do The Last Jedi. And I think it's because it's just more fun. I think JJ's a better filmmaker at that than Rian Johnson is. But it is what it is. And there it is, right? But yeah, the Han Solo death, although a lot of fans didn't want I didn't want Han Solo to die. Harrison Ford's my favorite actor. He's my favorite Star Wars character. But I understood it. From a story perspective, it made sense. Are there other ways they could have made it even better and even more powerful? Sure. But there is symbolism and cinematic language within that scene between Ben and Han. It is there. And if you remove the emotional anger from Han dying, you can see it. And it's incredibly powerful. He murdered his father because he thought it would make him closer to being like Darth Vader, and it didn't. It was a lie. It was all a lie. So it's fascinating. Oh my goodness. What do we got going on here? We got Davey Deathray gifted 5 memberships. Andrew Stevens just gifted 5 memberships. Incredible. It is a Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Lucius the Killer was gifted a membership. PJ, what's going on, PJ? Great to see PJ here. A membership. And then Knife Girl was gifted a membership. Michelle was gifted a membership. And Dice Rollin. Great to see Dice here as well. Dice has a YouTube channel as well, if I'm not mistaken. Great to see Dice here as well. She was gifted a membership by Andrew Stevens. So cool, so awesome. And that's 10 memberships that were gifted today. Fa la 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 la. Thank you so much, Dice. Thank you so much. Really appreciate, thank you, Dice, for being here. But I meant thank you, Andrew, for gifting those memberships. Very, very cool to see people here. Lucius is already on it with the 4 jaws, or the 4 jaws emojis. Very cool. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. My moderators just stepping up and being extra cool. Extra cool. Brandon Collins says The Last Jedi was the best Star Wars film since Empire. Sorry, not sorry. You son of a bitch! You don't know what you're talking about, Brandon! You're a piece of shit! Anybody who likes The Last Jedi is a piece of shit! You're just a piece of shit, man! You're a piece of dog shit! Oh yeah, you like The Last Jedi? Anybody who likes The Last Jedi, they're fucking pieces of shit, man! I am thrilled you like The Last Jedi and that it worked for you. I think that's awesome. piece of shit. Roboto 20. Is that how you say that? I'm butchering it. Merry Christmas, Dave. I'm from South Philly, Philadelphia. I've always wanted to watch a hockey game in Philly. And know you're a fan of the Rocky movies. Yeah, I do. I like the Rocky movies. Would you ever come to the city and see the Rocky statue and all the other great parts of Philly? I would, yeah. I mean, if there was a reason for me to be there, I don't know if I would just take a trip to Philly to just do that. Maybe. I mean, I'm certainly not against doing that. I've never thought about doing that. But if something brought me there, like I was shooting a movie there, or I don't know, my career was flourishing so much that people wanted to invite me to conventions or something. Is there a convention in Philly? I don't know. Yeah, I think that would be cool to check out the Rocky steps and the statue and all the locations and things like that. I think that would be really cool. For sure. Yeah. And try a Philly cheesesteak. You got to try one of those. Brandon Collins sends in $2, says, Dave sounding like my dad right now. Your dad, you're a piece of shit. I'm telling you, anybody who likes The Last is a piece of crap. I could understand if that's how I handled everything. Maybe I should start doing that. Davey Deathray says, that clip will be unfairly used against you, Dave. Oh, totally. 100%. 100%. And then you just have to point people to the, to the actual video. But no, you're right. Somebody will do that. Calm down. Just calm your bloody balls. Dream Villain says, The Last Jedi should have been called The Last Journey and ended there. Yeah, again, beautifully made film. There's a lot of things in that movie I quite like. It's just the story. I'm just like, but that's me. If it worked for some people, that's great, right? It's the way it is. There's lots of people actually talking about Star Wars. Maybe there's more Star Wars fans in here than I know. CM says, better than a 12-month subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. The Jelly of the Month Club. That's right. Jelly of the Month Club, ladies and gentlemen. I think you're right. I think being a channel member here is far better than being a subscriber to the Jelly of the Month Club. I mean, and I know that things have been kind of wonky in terms of my channel here in the month of December. It's just because there's been so much going on. My plan is once the new year begins to get sort of back into the routine of everything and all that kind of stuff, kind of start fresh, new year, kind of makes sense, right? But I wanted to jump on today and, I had some time this afternoon and just kind of do a Q&A. I don't know if I'll have time tomorrow or Monday, or maybe I will. Who knows? Maybe I'll do like an epic Christmas stream or something. I don't know. We'll see. Geeked Out Turtle Fan says, Dave McCrae, can we please hear your yearly rant on why Die Hard is a Christmas movie? I personally do not see Die Hard as a Christmas movie. However, if you see Die Hard as a Christmas movie, that's totally okay. And that's totally fine. And certainly I can understand definitely if you have a strong association because you used to watch it every Christmas with, your mom or dad, or it's a yearly tradition. I can understand why there's definitely a strong association for Die Hard being a Christmas movie. And Die Hard takes place at Christmas time, right? There's Christmas things in there. It's a Christmas party. I totally get why people say it's a Christmas movie, 100%. But in my opinion, a Christmas movie to me is when the narrative of the film and the journey that the characters are on are woven into the fabric of the Christmas season and spirit, right? So it's not just something that takes place at Christmas. I mean, the story of Die Hard would have ended the same way had it been Christmas or it been in the middle of August, right? The Christmas season, Holly and John McClane would have gone home that night to bang, and they would have gotten back together, not because it was Christmas, but it was because John McClane saved her fucking life, right? And he would have done that whether it was Christmas or whether it was, February. So for me, a Christmas movie, I'm more of a traditionalist in the sense of like, it's a journey that a character goes on. They learn to be selfless instead of selfish by the end of the movie, right? Like Clark in Christmas Vacation or Ernest in Ernest Saves Christmas. little Kevin in Home Alone, right? He learns all about, and it's the Christmas season and the Christmas spirit. It's the time of year that is the catalyst that helps, because of everything that's going on and because everybody is being selfless and not selfish. And he meets people along the way that teaches him lessons about being selfless and not selfish, and all that kind of stuff, right? Like those kinds of Christmas movies, your Home Alones, It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, Ernest Saves Christmas, It's a Christmas Story, all those things that are true classical Christmas movies. It's the season that actually is the catalyst that drives the lessons that are being learned. That I'm more of a classical traditionalist when it comes to, so I never see Die Hard as a Christmas movie. Die Hard to me is just it's an action movie that takes place at Christmas, but I recognize and understand and acknowledge that depending on your association with that film, it's very much a Christmas movie to you, 100%. Like I totally get that. Absolutely. But to me, if it was a true Christmas movie, I don't think we would have to debate it every year. Nobody debates that Home Alone's a Christmas movie. Nobody debates that Christmas Vacation is a Christmas movie. Nobody debates It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie. And even then, it's kind of not really a Christmas movie, but it kind of is. Nobody debates that, Ernest Saves Christmas. Nobody debates the classic Christmas movies because the Santa Claus, right? Because it's so obvious that they are Christmas movies because of the Christmas theme that is woven into the lessons that are being learned. Die Hard is always debatable because it's not doing that. It takes place at Christmas. Ho, 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 I have a machine gun. It's a Christmas party. There's some quips about it being Christmas, and sure, of course. But the character of John McClane would have started and ended up in the same spot as a character and the lessons being learned, whether it was Christmas or July 15th, right? So that's what I mean when I say, to me, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. That's all I mean by that. But for a lot of people, it is. For a lot of people, it is. And that's fair. That's totally fair. Andrew Stevens sends in a member chat, and he's been a member for 4 months in the beginning. Thank you, Andrew. Says, it's all about the support for Dave. Been here since 2017, and Die Hard is not a fucking Christmas movie. Love you guys. Oh, man. And what's so funny about that, too, is that, I think I just took 5 minutes there and competently, if I do say so myself, and was articulate and fair and basically gave my reasons why I don't think it's a Christmas movie. And I think there's absolute weight to that. And then if somebody wants to come in and say, well, I hear what Dave's saying, but for me, this is why it's a Christmas movie. And then they look at what I said and they paint what they say. And that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun of it. But I've seen some real vitriol online from people. Oh, what a shock, right? I've seen some real vitriol online from people that are just like, fuck, it's a Christmas movie, you fucking piece of shit. Or, it's not a Christmas movie, you piece of shit. Oh, yeah? You know what the fuck you're doing? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? I would like to think, and I know that I'm wrong on this, I would like to think that it's a bunch of I say this with all due respect. Well, no, I'm not going to say millennials, because millennials can also be like late 30s, even early 40s. I'm Gen X, but I'm like at the very end of Gen X. I'm 79, right? I was born 1979. So I'm like the tail end of Gen X, because although some people put millennials as 1980, I think that's a little too early. I think millennials is more like 83, 84, really, I think, to like 95 or 6. Anyways. And even then, there's people that go, fucking millennials are fucking debate, and they debate that. But I would like to think that everybody that is online that is going, whether it's attacking me or in Reddit forums or wherever, like, fucking, there's these debates going back and forth from people in these chat rooms, like just the vitriol over movie fandom. I want to believe it's people who are 17. Do you know what I mean? Who grew up in the digital age, who do not know a world that exists without a smartphone, that cannot comprehend a world with no internet, that cannot comprehend a world with no streaming. I would like to believe that is all coming from people of that age. because I would like to believe people that are my age and maybe a little bit younger and a little bit older, we know better because we remember a world where there was no internet. We remember a world where if you wanted to see what movies were playing, you flip to the back of the newspaper to see all the movie ads. We remember a world where there was no cell phones and certainly no social media. And we're just better, because we're more chill and we're not fucking morons. But I know that's not the case. Sadly, I know that there are some people out there that are my age and older that are online going, it's like, fuck. It's a movie, man. It's a movie. And that's not me saying that I haven't gotten into some debates in my life. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a moment where you kind of go, okay, I'm out. But no, there's people, and then the character, that's how you know you've lost them, right? I like having debates with people, but the second somebody goes, oh yeah, well, you're just a fucking piece of shit. It's like, oh, well, okay, now you're attacking me as a character. Now, I mean, that's a straw man argument. Now you're straw manning the whole thing, so now it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? But yeah, I want to believe that my generation is better than that, but somehow, I think there's a lot of people my age and a little bit younger and a little bit older who are online on Reddit right now, this very moment, in some form going, and it's like, oh God, come on, man. It's the internet. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Lucius the Killer says, I'm a 1997 baby, but consider myself a millennial and not a Gen Z. Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. 1997, so you're 26. 26. Yeah, you're 26. In 1997, I was 18. I was 18. I was already pretty much out of high school. Yeah, 1997. That was a good year. It was a good year. Wayne Turner, most people have always been idiots. The internet have just got the plot. That is true, Wayne. Wayne is bang on. Wayne is bang on. It's like all these, like, what's crazy to me is that, all the crazy shit that people pick up on dash cam, or they pick up like, on their cell phones, whatever. All that shit was always happening. That's what's frightening. All the crazy videos you see, the crazy public freakouts. I mean, I'm sure that our world, it has gotten worse over the years. I am sure that is true. But all like the fighting in restaurants or the public freakouts or the crazy dash cam shit that you see, that always happened. It was always there. It was always going on. It's just nobody had dash cams or cell phones to pick this up. And now we have all this technology and we have a platform to release all this technology and we're seeing it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, but you're right, Wayne. You're absolutely right. These idiots have always been there. And now there's just a platform for them to expose themselves as idiots, and everybody thinks their opinion matters. And they think that, and it's like, oh, it depends, right? If we're talking about something that is purely subjective, sure, okay. But when you're talking about something that actually is quantifiable, that you can measure it, not every opinion matters, because now you need to be informed on what you're talking about. And again, and I say this because I need to say this, I'm not saying I'm the world's foremost expert on movies. I just simply saying that there are certain people that do their due diligence to be informed on the topics they talk about. And I think it makes it far more interesting. Don't you want to be informed on this shit? And I say that in a general sense. Like I do a lot of reading on this and a lot of like, making sure I'm up to date on what's happening in the business side and all that kind of stuff. It just, and again, I don't know everything, but it certainly makes, I feel like it makes me, it arms me with the knowledge I need to be able to to speak on certain things. And then if there's something I don't know, because it's not in my wheelhouse at all, I'll tell you. And you know that. If you follow me for any length of time, you know that I'll sit here and say, that's a really good question. I really don't know. And then I might then attempt to give you sort of a feeling of an answer of what it could be, right? But, I will never answer a question shooting from the hip, trying to pretend like I know something I don't. Where's that going to get me? What's my end game there, right? Andrew Stevens says, Lethal Weapon is also not a fucking Christmas movie. Yeah, Lethal Weapon. I know some people try to paint that as a Christmas movie as well. And you're right. I don't see that as a Christmas movie at all. Funny enough, I think Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than Lethal Weapon is. But here's the thing though, too, right? What's the litmus test, right? So I recognize there are certain people that, like I said, have a strong association with Die Hard as a Christmas movie, not just because, but primarily because it was a big staple in their childhood every year at Christmas. They'd watch it with their parents or, whatever the case is, right? And, it takes place at Christmas, got a Christmas party, ho, 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 I have a machine gun. I mean, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And so it's very Christmas to them. When they see it, they think Christmas, they feel Christmas. There come the feelings. I totally get it, right? I totally get it. But then it comes down to so beyond that, right? Beyond that, because that's something that's very subjective and very personal. Beyond that, what is the litmus test for a Christmas movie then? Is it just a movie that takes place at Christmas? Because if that's the litmus test, well then yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie, and so is Lethal Weapon, and so is Rambo. What's the litmus test, right? And if it's just a movie that takes place at Christmas, it takes place at Christmas, you see a Christmas tree in one scene, well, then there's a lot of movies that are Christmas movies. But for me, a Christmas movie, like I said, is all about the themes, the morals, and the messages of the season about being selfless and not selfish are woven into the journey of the main character's arc that we're following. And that really is what it is. And then somebody could say, well, that's what John McClane learned. Yeah, but he would have learned that if it wasn't Christmas. Was the reason why that was happening. It was because terrorists kidnapped his wife. That's ultimately why he made the choice to go and save everybody. Now, he did it during Christmas, but it wasn't because of Christmas that John McClane's character made that decision to help everybody in the office tower. It was because he's a cop and there were terrorists. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, you know what I mean? But I get it. I get why people love to, I get it. I totally get it. Brandon Collins sends in $2, says, Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie. Hey, I haven't seen that in a long time, but you certainly could make that. Yeah, you certainly could make that argument for sure. Here we go. I knew this was going to open a can of worms. Davey Deathray, Jaws the Revenge is a Christmas movie. The shark learned to embrace others and learned the true spirit of Christmas, right? Or was that the dream I had after I fell asleep during my last watch? Maybe a bit of both. Oh, Jaws the Revenge. Hey, and you know what? There's a lot of people out there that love that movie. It's getting like a whole new, I think it was last year because it was the 35th anniversary of it. And it got like a whole new, I hate though, one thing I do hate is when movies that are objectively bad suddenly get like this. And when I say objectively bad, I mean in that general sense, right? Like generally speaking, that is the general consensus. And then all of a sudden some anniversary will come along and all of a sudden it's hip and cool to like the movie. And I'm always like, oh, fuck off. It's still crap. Come on. It may be the 35th anniversary, but come on. You see that a lot too sometimes, which is kind of funny. But, it is what it is. Geeked Out Turtle Fan says, I'm so glad I could stir up the Die Hard is a Christmas movie argument, Dave. Yes. Hey, you get me going with it, man. You get me going. But I think I handled myself well. And that, everything was fine. I think I explained myself well as to why I don't consider it one. But if Die Hard's a Christmas movie to you, and it's a Christmas movie. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, did you know in They Live, John Carpenter, he was the voice that said sleep? And also, what's your favorite cameo of John Carpenter's movies? I like the cameo as Bennett in The Fog. I did not know that, Chester, and the only cameo I can think of is Bennett in the Fog. So I'm going to go with Bennett in the Fog. That's the only cameo I can think of. I'd have to watch more of his movies again to brush up on it. All right. Oh, we're at 2 hours. We'll go for another 10 minutes. We'll go another 10 minutes, and then I will call it a afternoon. Because we're already at 2 hours, which was really cool. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I know it's the Christmas holidays and not a lot of people are here, but, I appreciate people tuning in and hanging out nonetheless. Let me see. There's no super chats I missed, right? I'm assuming people would let me know if I missed any, but I don't believe I did. And 10 memberships were gifted today. Incredible. You guys are awesome. Like, sincerely, that's really cool. 10 memberships. Amazing. Okay, where are you guys? There you are. Brandon Collins says, we can stop that shit right there. I saw it in theaters when I was 7 and it was shit then, just like it is now. Are you talking about Jaws the Revenge? I saw it in the drive-in. In 87, and I would have been 8. I don't remember whether I liked it or not. I don't think I did. I was a big fan of the original Jaws at that time in my life. So I cannot possibly see myself walking away from that movie going, oh, it was amazing. But I don't remember. I mean, 1987 is a long time ago, right? 36 years ago. Yeah. So I don't quite remember, but I don't know. We'll see. Bobby Hall. Hey, Bobby, what's going on? Says Dave, when Michael stalked Lori during the day, do you think she knew he was wearing a mask, or was he too far away for her to see it and she thought he had a really pale face? Bobby, it's a question I've never been asked. You are the first. I don't know. I would say that she probably knew he was wearing a mask. I think it's obvious to us as the viewer, and we tend to see him from a distance from the same perspective that she would be seeing him. So I would say that she knows that he's wearing a mask, especially when he's standing in the back of Mr. Riddle's backyard. I think it becomes very apparent there. I don't think that she at one point, I don't suspect that Lori would have thought, man, that guy's got a really pale face. I don't know. Andrew Stevens says, Dave, after IMDb 2 is released, we should do Black Christmas and IMDb 1 and 2 watch along. I would love to do that. I think that would be really cool. I was thinking about doing that here on the channel this year, but I'm not going to have time to do it before Christmas, doing a IMDb 1 or Black Christmas IMDb 1. But, I've done it already. I've done it on Two Dudes twice, I think. So probably not. I probably won't do it. But yeah, no, I'm totally down for doing that. I think that would be cool to do, for sure. That would be this time next year. So a little ways to go, but I think that would be cool, for sure. Janine says, Dave, I hope the new year brings you lots of success. Can't wait for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Thank you, Janine. And you as well. I hope it does for you as well. And I hope it does for everybody out there. Whether you like me or not, whether you can stand me or not, I hope 2024, sincerely, I hope it's a good year for you. And the reason why I say that is because, and the reason why I can say that is because, although I know there are a lot of people that watch me that don't like me, I don't know you. So I can't say I don't like you because I don't know you. I've never met you. I don't know you. Just as you don't know me. You think you know me because I talk about movies you don't like, or sometimes I talk very, aggressively about movies you like that I don't. But you don't know me as a person. And I don't know you. So I can't say I don't like you or I hate you. So I wish even those who don't like me, I wish a successful 2024. And I sincerely mean that, because I suspect that a lot of the people that are like, fuck it, Dave McGrath, are probably just, people that are angry and that are, if we actually met and sat down and had a conversation and shot the shit, we'd probably like each other. That's usually how it goes in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's usually how it goes. But nonetheless, everybody out there, I really hope that you all have a wonderful Christmas, because it's Christmas Eve tomorrow and it's Christmas Day on Monday. And then, of course, I'm pretty sure I'll be around before New Year's the following weekend. But have a safe Christmas out there. Spend it with friends and family. Spend it with those you love the most. And if you have children, I mean, just to see their faces on Monday morning is going to be amazing. So love them and love your kids and love your friends and tell them how much you love them. I just hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you get what you want, and I hope something good happens to you, like a nice surprise, something really positive, something really good, that's unexpected happens to you either for Christmas, for New Year's, or in 2024. Something really positive and good happens to you in 2024. I really hope that for everybody. I do, because it's a shitty world, and it can be a great world, but there's a lot of pain and suffering out there. So I hope something really good happens to you, and I do mean that sincerely. Everybody, I don't care who you are. Dice Roland says, happy holiday, Dave and friends. I swear I was subbed long before now, but it seems I wasn't. I'll blame YouTube anyway. Thanks, Andrew, for the membership. Yeah, there's been a lot of weird things happening on YouTube and the algorithms. I've had people reach out to me and say, I subbed to you like 5 years ago, and I just realized I'm not subbed to you right now. And so I don't know how that happens, but great to see you in here. And yes, thank you to Andrew and Davey Deathray, who gifted a total of 10 memberships today. Really appreciate that to you both. That I sincerely mean that means a lot. Thank you. All right, folks. Well, listen, that is going to do it for this stream, this Saturday Christmas Q&A stream. I really appreciate you all who were around on this Saturday and weren't busy doing family stuff. If you're watching after the fact, Merry Christmas to you. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope everybody in the chat room has a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful holiday. Thank you to, of course, my moderators, Frank Riker, Tab the Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Ghost Hunter Stevens. Thank you for doing what you guys do. Thank you for Davey Deathray and Andrew for gifting those memberships. Like I said, really appreciate that. Thank you to the super chat questions that came in today. Really appreciate that. And thank you for hanging out with me for a couple of hours. I really appreciate it. I really do. And I know Veda does as well. Veda is in her cat tower over here snoozing, but she's looking at me right now. Right, Veda? Oh yeah, I can see her eyes. She's looking at me. She says Merry Christmas to all of you as well, but she's a little moody right now. She's a little moody. You know how cats can get. But she wishes you all a Merry Christmas as well. Yes, thank you, folks. And don't forget to share that link to the teaser trailer for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 and the link to It's Me, Billy Chapter 1. It's Christmas time. Spread it around. Tell your friends and family, and let's see if we can get more people in on it and knowing about it. Have a great rest of your Saturday, folks, and have a great Christmas. And I will talk to you all next week. Alrighty. Cheers.